hold a black light over a couple of scenes, you'd be like, man.
Or
what
there.
did you do with your copy, Josh?
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Nerd On podcast you didn't need but deserve, where all levels of nerd are welcome.
Indeed.
Even those who were just greedy, selfish children. Because you too get a second
I
chance.
want all the toys.
Mine.
On today's show, only one man has to work at Yuletime, and that's Klaus. Or Klaus.
Klaus.
Same name of the marquee topic. We are going to explore the comic book that gives Santa Claus the superhero origin story treatment.
Yeah.
Yes,
with Klaus.
We are kicking it old school today. Kaylin won't be joining us for this episode. So you got the OG Nerd On crew
And this
coming at you live.
This kicks off our December-y holiday season Yuletime spirit.
Is this the holiday,
Happy holidays.
the holiday dance?
Yeah.
For those of you watching at home, you
I've
can
got the
see
closest thing to holiday gear.
On our YouTubes.
Maybe I'm Klaus.
I'll look like a
Maybe.
wrapped present.
Yeah. You can actually see how we interact and how we look, and other than how we sound.
Yeah.
But before we get too far into it, let's introduce our host. My name is Tom.
Ollie.
I'm Corey.
And I am Josh, and this episode is brought to you in part by the members of the Nerd On Nation that is powered by
Patreon.
It's like Caitlin's here.
I tried. I'm so sorry.
As a member of the Nerd On Nation, you do get fun perks for as little as $1 to $5, all the way up to $8. You can get fun stuff like Discord server, where you can talk to us, other hosts of our other shows, other members of the Nerd On Nation.
Tons of bonus episodes.
Never
from all three
tons,
shows.
yes.
Before heard episodes
Yes,
ever.
they
The
don't
Nerd
go
Minute.
public
Yeah.
ever. They are exclusive.
For you.
Exclusives.
Discounts to merch. There's a lots of fun stuff over
There's
there.
a lot of
Polls.
fun stuff.
There's a lots of fun. Anyway,
You know
check
what?
that out.
Oh, go ahead.
nerdon.io/Patreon.
Yes.
But you
Tom.
know, I really loved reading the physical version of this comic book. But you know what really made it hard for me? Was I wanted to read it at night, and I didn't
Yeah.
have like a
Which I did.
device that I had it available to me until I realized that I could get it all on my iPad. And I had an interface that would
He is
like
the worst.
swipe
Yeah.
it through so I can see which image and which panel was most important for me. It made it a new experience for someone that's like me who's read a bunch of comic books. And the best place to get that is from nerdon.io/comicsology.
in partnership with Comixology.
It's the
Oh my
internet's
gosh.
#1 source of getting comic books.
There it is.
I got an idea.
Yeah.
Tom never does
Yeah.
our
I'll do it.
ads.
Let me try next episode. Let me try.
Because you know what's fun? Natural.
Yeah.
Natural
No,
delivery.
I read it on
Comixology.
Comixology, and you can too.
Oh,
Or
God.
I actually
as-
did read it on
As our
Comixology.
friends on the Capers Crusaders, who have a comic book podcast, as David Harris would say, take two. Go ahead, Corey.
Yeah.
But
take
no, so this is actually a completed book.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
So we're actually going to go back. We haven't done this in a while, and it's kind of fun to actually rate something.
Yeah.
So at the end of this episode, us four will rate it 1 out of 5. But right now, that means we're going to
Guess that
Krampus.
Winter man, how are you, Santa Claus? Winter man, bring me my gifts.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes.
Dope.
Everyone
Thank
should
you.
have watched that.
Well done.
So if you're new to the show, Guess That Grump or Guess That Krampus today is a segment of our show. What we'll do right now, where at the end of the show, since we rate it 1 out of 5, whoever rates it the lowest becomes the Grump or Krampus of the week. No matter how high it is, we encourage everyone at home to play along. Send us what you thought. Write in the comments or send us if they were slip inside their DMs.
We'll also be going over the Nerd On Nation's votes.
Yes.
If you join the Nerd On Nation, you can partake in votes on who you think is going to be the grump, and we'll give you a shout out at the end of the episode.
Yeah. So it's really fun. So since I always go first and change it up every time,
Yep.
I'm going to guess it's going to be Ali.
Oh.
I'm going to second that vote.
It's my safe answer
Oh
nowadays.
my.
Oh
Fair.
my.
Oh, my.
Oh my.
Who are you going to vote for?
Who am I going to vote for? Who? Josh.
Josh?
Who, Josh?
So I actually came prepared to vote for Caitlin, but she's not here. So I have to change up my vote. We got 2 on Ali, 1 on Josh. You know what? Let's tie it up,
Oh, snap.
Josh. Even though I think that's wrong, I like the even playing fields.
Okay.
I feel like this is something you're actually going to really like. But I'm going to go out on a limb here because I don't
You
guess
don't
right very
know.
often.
I hope you did like it because we were supposed to have read it and we were supposed to talk about it today.
I said
What?
liked it.
But
I
if
thought you
you're
said.
liking it-
I thought you said. I hope you do like it.
No, I said I think this is something you would like
Oh,
in the sense of like I think this is up his alley. But just for the sake of even playing field. So that means Tom and I will give our ratings first, and then
What about the Nerd On Nation?
the Nerd On Nation has voted for Ali.
Of course.
So
we'll see if
I'll be
y'all were
last.
right at the end of that.
Mhm.
But then I got a vote, and Caitlin got one vote as well.
So since that's completely done, we're going to move to our spoilers of that, our first impressions and our initial reactions. So
I'll go first.
Corey, go first. I was gonna say.
I think this is a really interesting concept. Reading this, realized I'm a really big fan of like retconning myths. In that sense,
Yeah.
does that make
Yeah.
sense
Oh,
at
yeah.
all?
Completely
Like
makes
I'm
sense.
really interested on a new take on an old story in that sense. Like if they ever did something with like the Tooth Fairy or something like that, I would probably be first in line to
They
read
did.
it.
You remember the Tooth Fairy stuff from Hellboy 2?
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Mhm.
like
How
that
about-
kind of stuff.
How about
is-
The Rock?
The Rock, yeah, that's the same thing.
Wow.
But yeah,
The Rock?
especially Santa Claus is a very interesting one to me, and like I was always a big fan of the original like stop animation where they show the origin
Oh,
of
yeah,
Santa
yeah.
Claus, right? Which
Yeah.
with the red
I'm
hair and
Mr.
everything. So going into this, Tom had showed it to me. I was very excited. First of all, I just want to shout out the production quality of like the paper book with like the gold lining and everything. Getting this in the mail felt so good
Reminds me of like the Velvet Rabbit.
to start
Velveteen
reading.
Rabbit.
Like a box with some actual weight.
Yeah.
But I'm really impressed with a lot of this writing, and I more so the art style.
Mm.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think this art
definitely.
style really served this story very well.
Shout out to Dan Mora.
And I really wanted more by the end of it, to be
Yeah.
honest with you. Like it was something I was really sad to close.
There are one-offs,
Yeah. I was,
Of this,
Mhm.
like extra stories,
afterward stories.
I will read those
Oh,
then.
nice.
Yeah. Same thing. Tom had showed me a little bit of it just because, I mean, look at this book. It's beautiful. It's also Boom, which I
Shout out to
enjoy.
Boom.
They do
Most of
the
the time
Power
I-
Rangers and a
Yeah.
bunch of other stuff.
But yeah, I read through this, and by the end, I was starting to look up more.
They have a lot of
what else-
properties.
Yeah, a lot of stuff of
Boom?
like with this
Oh.
complete this actual story of like the one-offs, and I haven't read those yet because I wanted to read this a couple of times. But yeah, the art style, there was something about the colors that just really popped out for
Yeah.
me, and I think like your take on it, you were saying like retconning myth.
Yeah.
As I've said before, I'm a sucker for an origin story, and this is like that origin story you didn't need or you didn't even know you
But
wanted.
you deserve.
Mhm.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I was really excited to read this and kind of get like that badass Santa.
Yeah.
Like I was like, yeah, I can
Yeah.
imagine that
Mhm.
badass Santa.
Badass Santa.
Badass some.
So-
And the way they did the origin of his suit and all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff was really fascinating. That's just the guards' colors.
Royal
that
Guard or
nation,
whatever.
yeah.
and it's also
Of the
there,
city.
it's a little there is a grounded levelness of it of like the magic versus reality of like so I dug it a lot.
Mhm.
A lot.
Ollie?
Yeah, my immediate first impression was how pretty everything was. Like just the look of the art, but especially the color. The use of color is really well done. There was a lot of pages that I was just like in awe of, and I did take a couple screenshots of a couple
Yeah.
just because I'm like, this is a really good color combination for later.
Hold a black
inspiration.
light over a couple of scenes, you'd be like, man,
Or
What
there.
did you do with your
Or-
copy, Josh?
Why don't-
Jesus.
Why don't the
scenes in
pages come
forest-
apart?
Like
the
I
scenes
remember
in the forest.
there's one shot of him being like stretched out
Oh yeah,
by
towards
the
end of book.
guys, and just like it's like a splash
It's a spread, yeah.
panel or whatever, and it just looks incredible. Like the coloring of the ice
a little
and like the fire, like
Iconic.
very very
Talking
well
about
done.
The fairy scenes, like the turquoises
Yeah.
and the pinks, like very neon.
All right, Josh, put the coffee down.
But the and the writing's really good. Oh, and these pages of like all color when he's like his imagine or whatever's
The
happening.
Yuletide Spirits.
Yeah, the Yuletide Spirits.
I was trying to find that splash page. I apologize.
Well, go on, Ollie,
I don't know.
before you get distracted.
But thanks. I just love the coloration of this.
Oh,
of
from the
this
blue
one
to the
page.
red? Can you
Yeah.
hold that up
and
for
like
the camera, Josh?
fire
If you can see that from there.
pops even more on an
Right
OLED
there.
screen on my digital device that I use Comixology to read through.
See, that was good.
Plug has to be a minute
But stuff like that, just like all the color is just fantastic. I'm a big sucker for color.
If you guys
Um,
couldn't see that panel, you can just visit nerdon.io
Yeah.
/Comixology and
And then
download
it just
from there.
has like
Cue the Tom sigh.
he's basically freaking Batman in this city. and he's in the shadows. He even says it like it's even a thing that he's conscious of. And
Santa.
yeah,
I am the knight.
except he has a freaking sword and antlers, and
He's a
looks
great sword.
badass, and
Yeah.
the writing's really
and
good.
A huge wolf.
And a huge
Yeah.
wolf is his pal. Like
What was her name?
Lily?
Lily.
yeah, Lily. So I know I had a really good time reading it, and I really enjoyed it.
Tom?
Yeah,
Yeah. Batman meets Witcher, but Christmas.
Yeah.
exactly.
So I really like the artwork, and I guess the direction design of everything, because they could have went with, Gothic, they could have went any other direction. This actually reminds me of, which I think is on brand. It looks very Thor, and I like that. And I actually really like the Thor comic books
Yeah.
because I like mythology, and I like gods and spirits and creatures of other dimensions and other planes of existence.
Yes.
So
The action in this is pretty insane.
yeah, but I mean, there's a little bit of like that Conan Barbarian feel of it. So it's like, okay, cool, I'm about that, baby. But so I got this a long time ago on a lark. I was just kind of like, this looks cool. And then I was like, oh, Grant fucking Morrison.
He did some great X-Men stories.
He's all about like the metatextual conversation of how the reader is reading the comic book he is writing.
Metatextual, good word.
Yeah. And
That's a fancy word.
he actually likes to bring characters into our existence, and then actually make them travel through like their own like ideology of like, you only exist to serve one purpose. And so it's kind of crazy to see like what he does with like just a fun story. And so like, if you're not familiar with Grant Morrison work, this is like a cool way to kind of just see like how well he treats characters. But I wouldn't say it's really indicative of his whole body of work.
Sure.
But I like the story. It's fun. The first like comic book I ever read that was very Christmassy like was actually Krampus, and it's not based off this or connected to that, but it's like in terms of an exploration, it's more about like what happens when all the Santas are getting kidnapped, so they unleash Krampus to fight whoever's kidnapping them.
Yeah.
But this story is more like, here's this story that you never needed and was never told. So it's like, oh, okay, cool. So
I dug it. Cool.
Nice.
Does that bring us to
our
brief synopsis?
and production actor
Yeah.
Brief synopsis. I'm going to make this as brief as I can.
provided by Josh.
Provided by Josh. Hi, everybody. No. So essentially, the story opens up, and we're on what we have known as Santa Claus. He is Claus, and this is his story. And we come to find out that he's like a wild man. Through the story, we find out that he was excommunicated. Would that be the right word?
Exiled.
Exiled. Thank
To
you. To death.
Death by
by ice.
exile.
Yeah.
But he survived. Surprise. He comes to the town that he was exiled from many years later, and he's come to find out that the town has changed drastically. It used to be a very fun, happy town, and it has changed due to this leader, and revolution ensues.
Yeah.
Basically, he is captured at one point and kicked out again, and he goes back in, and he causes revolution by basically doing Christmas stuff, leaving presents, trying to spread joy in a sense.
Joy
but he's
has
doing
been
it
outlawed.
in his very Batman way.
Yeah. They're also making the new ruler, the steward, has essentially said that all men must work in the mines, basically
During the
till-
Yuletide.
And
to death.
and we are finding out that they are digging up something.
An
Something that's
ancient
speaking
evil.
to him.
Something that is speaking to him from the caves,
And
from
Klaus
the
is
mountains.
jumping on rooftops.
Yeah. I mean, eventually it comes
It's a black tank.
We also find out that the new ruler's wife is actually Klaus's first love. What was her name?
Sarah.
Dermot.
Oh, Dagmar.
Dagmar. Thank you.
And
like,
she has
Dugmar? Doesn't sound right.
one of the toys reminds her of something that a gift was given to her that Klaus gave to her that made for her when they were
Yeah.
kids.
Because this new steward has outlawed anyone else having toys. They all must donate their toys to his son. Because he
Yes.
has to have the greatest things.
Jonas.
And he's a dick.
He's a piece of shit.
Basically, it all comes to play that the king is coming, and the new steward has been pushing and pushing and pushing for this demon. I'm just going to call it a demon. To be released so that he can basically wreak havoc and basically become the king.
He was promised
Essentially,
power.
he wanted power.
Yeah.
From the demon promised him power and riches and love.
At the end, Krampus, It's not.
It's Krampus.
It's got to be Krampus. It's
Mhm.
the way that I see it is what I've seen Krampus being presented.
I can
as.
tell you. I mean, I can tell you it is because what it is a giant demon with horns
And
that
hooves.
takes
Yeah.
bad children in a sack and then eats them. That's
Yeah.
Krampus. That's the
Krampus.
entire story.
So
of Krampus.
releases Krampus. Klaus eventually kills Krampus, and everybody lives happily ever after. In a sense,
A little bit of intervention between
Falls
the
back in
Yuletime
love with that
spirits. The Yuletime spirits give him like the dope ass sled
yeah, he does.
and
Yeah.
powers
Now,
and
am
makes him
I-
invincible.
Real quick,
or at least not killable.
was he given the powers, or did he already have them?
I think he had an attunement to it, but then they were like, "Hey, we bestow upon you like the ever, spirits of our, whatever," and then made him unkillable.
Because basically, at the end, we kind of see a montage, so to speak, of the rest of the years, kind of like building
Everyone getting
towards of who
older.
we know
And he
as
doesn't.
Santa Claus.
Yeah, he doesn't age.
But yeah, that was pretty
well
brief.
done.
That was good.
Yeah. So
Couple minutes.
he ends
That was the
basically ends up back in love,
And the
then
steward
she passes
immediately-
away.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The steward
Uh,
basically
of
just
old age
gets
and
killed
whatnot.
immediately.
She dies of old age, very happy, and then he takes off and he says, "I'll be back once a year."
Yep.
To spread Yuletide joy.
Yep.
Well
Well done.
yeah.
That's 10 seconds.
I was like about 20 minutes.
Yeah,
So production.
that was Batman
Yes.
Hush.
The production side of things. Boom Studios, who have done things like Lumberjanes, Munchkin, Steven Universe, Mega Princess. The writers are Grant Morrison, who is famous for Doom Patrol, Animal Man, All-Star Superman. Artist is Dan Mora. DC meets Hanna-Barbera, which I read that on here and I was like, I need to see that because I have not yet.
Dude,
but
Aquaman and Jabberjaw.
really,
Yeah, and Elmer Fudd and
is it a little ridiculous or is it good?
Oh,
Is
it's
it
a little
well done?
ridiculous.
But it's
Like Elmer Fudd is hunting Batman.
okay.
Oh my gosh.
He's also done the art for Go-Go Power Rangers, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Letter, Ed, Dukeshire, 28 Days Later, Big Trouble in Little China, RoboCop, and Farscape.
Remember fucking Farscape, guys?
Yeah.
Damn, comic book baby.
Production date was 2015 through 2016 for the individual issues. There's 7 issues total. And then it says copies sold, not available. So we don't know.
With comic books, it's like pretty vague.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Pretty vague.
I can't be very, very quiet.
What?
I'm hunting Batman.
Like there is like that's
I'm
probably an
into it
exact
though.
line.
I'm kind of into it.
you know that
Yeah.
like iconic shot of Batman like who like looks into the spotlight
And he's in an alleyway.
Yeah,
He's covered in a silhouette of Elmer Fudd's hat.
love it.
And so it's like, oh
That's-
shit, he's getting hunted
That's
by him.
kind of fun.
I love that.
is a lot of
And then
fun.
Bugs Bunny hangs out with Superman. So,
All right.
So,
Interesting.
favorite parts.
Favorite
or let's
parts.
kind of just
Ooh.
dive into it.
I mean, I said it already. The art style is one of my favorite parts. This was a like pleasure cruise to read and look at.
Yeah.
It was very easy on the eyes, very easy to follow as well,
Yeah.
which I really liked.
Yeah.
Felt like it should be like adapted to a Telltale.
I would love if it was
Oh,
adapted to
damn.
a Telltale.
That'd be
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. Or even a miniseries. I would watch a miniseries animated of this.
Or
in
even
a
like
heartbeat.
Fables like game.
Yeah.
I
love,
would watch a live action.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, even-
Oh,
even
for
like a
sure.
movie.
But I would love to
Netflix
see an animated.
Yeah.
I would love to see an animated one first
Yeah.
because I want to see those colors.
Yeah.
When he calls in the spirits. When I saw that for the first time when he's playing the flute and kind of passes out and then the spirits lead him into the forest, I was like, this is amazing. This is
Mhm.
gorgeous.
That is my favorite part is the anytime he's communicating with the spirits, like the colors that they bring in, because it is completely on the other end of the scale of kind of the darks of all of the other scenes,
Mhm.
and then you get into these scenes and it's just so bright.
Well, most of it's just snow and like a little red and white.
Right.
Yeah.
That's kind of it.
Yeah.
The toys and are like another big source of color, and the
They're magical
Yeah.
too.
the magical kind of sort of stuff.
You know what's really cool? If you look at the cover, badass, right?
Yeah.
Hunter
Yeah.
Man, Wilder Man. Doesn't kill one person in the entire thing.
Yeah.
He has a sword the entire time. And it's like kind of like, oh, this might be like a bloody God of War kind of thing.
He does kill someone.
It's very important.
Because
kill with it.
Krampus. But it's a human being with the
Yes,
soul,
correct.
right? And so like that was really kind of cool. It kind of reinforces the whole like you can be a hero without having to kill everybody. And you did
Zack
see
Snyder.
like the year one Batman kind of feel of like the world, the city is changing because of the myth of the Julianus.
Yeah.
Julianus.
Julian,
Jul-
the Santa.
Yeah, and I don't know how to pronounce it, but it is in like its native tongue what they're trying to write into
Yeah.
of like, oh, this is where like this origin story is going to take place.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
Yeah. And I don't mean, by the way, I don't mean Zack Snyder for what he did to Batman. There was a quote he said the other day. It was like, your
If you
heroes
think-
are all fucked up or whatever.
Well, he's like
Yeah.
also he said if you think Batman doesn't kill people, then grow up.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, his design is really cool as well. Like I love
To the look.
that his colors came from the guard, suit
Mhm.
guard.
Scandinavian. This is very
Scandinavian.
Scandinavian.
Yeah. I also loved the design of Krampus.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fire breathing monster.
I was thinking that myself.
Yeah.
It was so
That was
It was
one of my favorite parts.
And then
beautifully terrifying.
using science, like there's no oxygen up here. You can't create fire. I loved that. I was like,
yeah.
it makes sense.
Yeah.
I dig that.
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say just that his fight with Krampus like was some of the most amazing visuals in the book. I think.
Oh yeah.
Just
And him just eviscerating
oh god, the steward.
The steward was
That was very satisfying.
Baron.
And
Baron. Sorry, yeah. Well, it's steward Baron.
Yeah.
He's a steward of the king, but he's the baron of the land.
Yeah.
Right there you go.
But then he like talked for a few seconds afterwards.
Yeah.
Like save my son. And I was like, oh my god, that's the worst way to go.
Well, I mean, like, and that's the kind of thing. Again, the what is it? The road map or the road to hell is built on pavement of good intention.
Yeah.
And so it's like he wanted to rule. He wanted to like give everything to his wife and kid, but then just do it through terrible means.
Yeah.
He
He wanted them to have everything for himself, so they would like him. That's not the way
It
Christmas
gave-
is about.
Yeah, it gave it a little bit of a gray area for me, because it was kind of like he still wouldn't want to hurt his kid or
Yeah.
his wife, and so like there's still some sense of like he's not a terrible, despicably human, but every other person's life is underneath him, and then also he betrays our hero, so whatever. I liked Gunnar, the kid,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Gunnar Mikkelsen.
yeah, the kid that saves him. It reminded me of why I think Iron Man 3's kid doesn't work that well. Because this one was like this kid's highly affected by this. You follow him for like 2 issues.
His
and
dad's in the mines.
yeah,
like-
and then so like when this kid saves him, like he is actually also rejected from another kid before this other kid saves him.
Mhm.
Because he's like, "Help me, please," and then the kid
Well,
says,
the mom.
"He's in here."
The mom
yeah.
says it. Yeah.
Yeah, and then
Mhm.
that kid saves him. So it's like, oh, this feels way better
Yeah.
than just like, here's a kid.
Yeah.
Who
And
just
I
found
love, you know who
Yeah.
his real hero is by the end of the
Dad.
His dad.
Yeah.
It wasn't Santa
loved
Claus.
that
It wasn't
scene.
everybody's like, that's my dad. You're
Mhm.
like, oh shit.
dad.
That's great.
My dad could beat up your
You know what? That might be my favorite moment, actually.
It's a good part.
My favorite moment is page 180, at least digitally, and it's him cutting off
Krampus's head.
Krampus's head while saying "ho
Ho, 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 ho.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Which is, if you think about it, kind of creepy. If you were like sleeping and then you heard like ho 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 over you, like
he
just
like
fucking kill something.
Yeah.
Oh no. Oh no.
I like the Grant Morrison-esque sleigh.
Oh
it's
yeah.
like-
that was a
almost
nice
digital.
sleigh.
It's crystalline. It's like this weird
almost-
biomechanical like thing. It feels like it's angelic.
It
but
almost
also
looks like it's
alien-like.
still downloading.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
crazy.
In one of the scenes.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
But like, yeah, Grant Morrison likes to play with that ethereal kind of like
Oh, yeah?
otherworldly things all the time. So it's like,
Mm.
yeah, it's like the physical world is just a facet of what we can perceive, and so he likes that kind of design of like, oh, this definitely doesn't feel terrestrial.
yeah.
So I just like seeing. I was like, oh, it's kind of fucking badass, and like Lily has like a whole gang of wolves instead of reindeer. I was like,
Yeah.
where are the reindeer? Where are the reindeer? Oh, I guess we're not having
Thanks for
reindeer.
having wolves.
Guess we're
When
having
he-
fucking
When they
wolves.
changed into the Krampus wolves, they were terrifying.
that was kind of
Yeah.
that was kind of dope though.
Yeah. Oh no, 100%.
When
The design's amazing.
when he is cornered and they send in the dogs, they send in the hounds, and they start running away because Lily
Lily.
comes in, and it's just like such a badass like
He's friends with wolves.
cliche like
Mhm.
shot where he's there and the wolf is in front of them. It's
The
just
dogs
like,
are just like, fuck that.
yep,
I'm
never
out.
mind, I'm good.
I got really sad when Lily got shot.
Yeah.
yeah.
With 2 arrows, like, and then
Yeah.
they're like, "Oh, okay, we're fine."
Yeah.
but
We good.
They were the poison arrows too.
yeah. I also really liked the flashback.
Mhm.
Just seeing a whole issue of like,
Mhm.
Him meeting Lily
this is
too.
where they come from and all this
Yeah.
stuff, and you're like, oh, okay, so this,
It's
you
nice
know,
to get the background.
yeah, but also it kind of like shows a little bit more of like how he was betrayed,
Yeah.
and like it's sad that she went on and lived a life without him.
Yeah.
And just like got remarried and had some kid with someone else, and it was like because of a lie.
Yeah.
And he never did anything terrible, and it's just like, you changed, and that's it.
Yeah.
That was the worst crime she committed to him, was
Yeah.
you changed, not like, oh, you ended up having a family with the dude that fucking hates me.
Yeah.
No, you changed. No, I was like, oh god, such a nice guy. He's like such a good guy too, and that's like the
Yeah.
cool thing is like he's so grizzled and like you again Kratosy, right?
Yeah.
But then like, oh, he's nice. He doesn't.
Yeah.
Boy,
Yeah.
come here,
Taking on
boy.
his mission to get kids toys.
Yeah, and I mean, like I started the episode with one of my favorite lines is like, it's Yuletime and there's only one person that works, and that's me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's true,
Damn.
baby.
Could it be because he gave, we didn't see this side of the flashback, but because he gave her the bird, that like he saw the joy that he brought to her back then
When he was a kid.
when he was a kid.
It was destined. It was destined to happen. It's
Yeah.
kind of like that unavoidable arc.
Yeah.
Self-fulfilling prophecy a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah.
It was fate in a sense. But yeah, I like how, like the first thing that gets him mad, like he gets into town and then he goes and has a drink, and then he's
It's
like,
a shitty drink.
where's everybody? It's like, oh, they're all in the mines. Like during the Yuletide season, it's like, when I was here, no one used to work there. It's like a lot of people don't like it when you ask questions. It was very like, like desolate, like Wild Wild West feel. So I was like, oh, that's cool. This is like, oh, we're about to see some shit. And it's like, no, he just gets his ass whipped a little bit. I'm like, oh. And then it's like, now he's gonna strike some revenge.
Oh, when he loses his shit, when the guards start like
Hitting the kids.
hitting the kid,
Oh,
like
yeah.
that.
And he's like, it's
that's-
a child!
Yeah.
You're like, whoa.
So
That's
it
the
was.
Santa Claus I know.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Any other
It's our
favorite
child.
parts?
It's a trap.
I mean, I like. I'm gonna echo kind of what Corey said. Of just the whole book was just. It's so nice to read a comic book where every page you're like, ooh, this is fun.
And for you guys, especially, like I think it's definitely refreshing because we've talked about it before on our show where it's like it's hard for some people to get into comic books. It's like, where do you start? How many to go into?
Yeah.
It's like it's so daunting. It's like, oh well, in issue 50.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this is 7
read
and
this.
it's done. And it's like a nice book. It feels good. It belongs
Yeah.
with your other books. And you can read it next to the fucking fire and you're like nice toasty, chair.
And you don't have to worry about the Marvel DC drama.
Or you
Yeah.
can get it on your phone by going to nerd on.
Or, yeah.
Oh my God.
No, I was gonna say another one of my favorite parts is just the descent, Magnus's descent into madness.
Yeah.
Like he starts off evil and mean, but then he comes in and he rushes into his wife and son with that sword that
The
he's never been
giant
able to lift. And he's like, I need
Shaking.
help. What do I do?
Yeah.
I need this to happen. I need it. And you're like, oh my God, like it really got to you.
I dug his character.
how all
Crazy
the
and
other
evil.
miners would start hearing the voice as well, the closer they got.
Yeah.
I love it.
I remember. So this is like one of my like, oh, they're actually going to do this. When Jonas turns and he
To a
says,
good-
I'm the greedy one. I'm the selfish kid. Take me and not them.
Oh yeah.
And you're like,
yeah.
oh shit, he's aware that
He's
has
saving
been
the cat
this
right now.
asshole. Yeah. And it's like fucked up because like his mom enabled that shit too.
Yeah.
Like his
Yeah.
mom enabled him to like destroy.
Well, her joy had been beaten out of her to the point where she was like, it doesn't.
Well, and she was put under a spell
A little bit.
also.
yeah.
And so like he now becomes aware of the fact that like his mom enabled him, his father enabled him, and as well as the rest of the town enabled him to be this like snotty child, and that magic wouldn't work unless he used his imagination.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was wonderful because the toys wouldn't work.
That scene when she's explaining, like.
But
and-
it could be a dragon, even though this
Yeah.
is a bird.
That was
Yeah.
his first turn.
And
he's
then-
like, oh,
And it's like, what if they destroy each other? Like, but what if they were just friends
yeah.
and they could live on together, and so they wouldn't be destroyed all the time? And I
Yeah.
was like, that is fucking dope. Like, and that's kind of like, it's funny when you say the DC Marvel drama. It's like people don't have to destroy each other to be happy.
Yeah.
They can just live
Yeah.
in perpetuity.
Yeah.
And
And
so that,
destruction does not have to be the cusp of all stories.
yeah. And so like this child turning, but then also then being taken away and
Yeah.
like being put in the bag. I was like, well, that sucks. But I moved on to I turned horror movie mode. I was like, well, that's what happens. A little too late.
Tom
sorry-
doesn't like kids.
Yeah, sorry, Bakugo. But
Yeah,
I
essentially.
was like, a little too late, sorry. But then he gets out and he's like alive, and then he ends up becoming the new king.
Yeah.
And I really liked how it's like you had a really shitty childhood and you became a shitty person, but then you grew up
To be a good
a
king.
good king.
Because everything's prosperous.
and he calls Klaus his father.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's kind of cool.
It's
Yeah.
it's a great ending to it, to be honest
Yeah.
with you.
Yeah.
I
Um,
actually, for some reason, like thinking about it, looking back, I feel like this could definitely live in the world of Frozen.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Definitely like, oh, in another story, this is what's
Scandinavian, yeah.
happening. Yeah.
Meanwhile.
Yeah. Because I mean, the characters kind of have the same design a little bit too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah,
It does
they
have
do.
that kind of.
That's a good point.
the little
I
pointiness.
hate
yeah.
to say like this Disney-esque,
Yeah.
the faces, the eyes,
Well,
and stuff like
especially with like the older men who are not main characters. Most main character men have like fucking round ass faces for no reason.
that. Yeah.
But more older men who are more exploratory father figures have like pointy nose with a mustache and like lion hair curls.
yeah.
Like the old guard that he
Yeah.
was like, why do I even wear these colors?
Yeah.
They don't mean anything
I did like
anymore.
his friend.
Yeah.
I liked his
Yeah.
friend a lot.
Yeah.
Because it's like, again, it showed you all these different places. Like, oh, even though this place is bad, there's still some good people in it.
They
Even-
just have to kind of keep their heads down and
yeah, but even then, there's people who need to be saved, but people who don't want to be saved.
Yeah.
And so it's like it shows both aspects of it where like not everyone's good, not everyone's bad. So like even the people you're saving don't like you.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
That's good for me. I mean,
yeah.
I can name little parts throughout, but those are the big ones that stood out to
Yeah.
me.
favorite characters other than Klaus?
Yeah.
Is that possible?
I was like, I don't think Lily,
I was
the
I was
wolf,
gonna say that
the
too.
wolf. Like honestly,
Um,
besides Klaus, not really.
One favorite panel?
I could do that.
Said mine.
You can have that.
I can do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, you already said yours. Ali,
Mine's
so,
that,
So we're
definitely
skipping
mine.
you.
There's a panel during the forest scene.
This one.
It's this one, right?
So explain
Here.
it to those who are listening, Josh.
Just a second while he is. So, Klaus has basically summoned the spirits with his flute, and there is just this
Explosion.
He's surrounded by these spirits that are these like blue wispy creatures, and there is just the only thing I can really say that it probably is the magic is bursting out from him and all over. It's very neon. It's
Mhm.
completely different. It's like you change,
reaching out to him.
you turn a page, and it's this.
It's for sure an acid trip.
Yeah, that's if I were
Because
to, yeah,
the thing is, he is wounded, and then
Yeah.
he goes to make himself some healing
magic
medicine.
tea.
Yeah, magic medicine tea, and drinks it, and then lays at it underneath a tree and plays the flute, the lute, whatever you want to call it.
I'm so high.
And then
We're
he
not
summons
low.
them
Yeah,
This is mine.
when he's Batman for the first time.
Over
All
the
the kids.
city.
Well, do you know what all the papers are?
Oh, all the wishes,
All the wishes.
all the wish list.
Oh, I didn't
So
know
this is his second night. This is after the first night when all the toys came.
Mm.
So he's seeing his effect for the first time, and all these kids are putting their wishes up the chimney to float out so that he can grab them. And that moment, I was like, "Oh shit!"
Batman.
Oh,
Batman.
But he's
Weird.
like, it's working. He's starting to change things in the town, and I just liked that they show it that way.
I forgot like a really quick favorite part because what you just said reminded me was his first night when he's kind of breaking into town. He throws a snowball onto the roof and it
Oh, and it
slowly
fucking
slows down.
bigger,
and,
yeah.
it gets
It's
bigger.
legit snowball effect.
Yeah, it was just so funny to be like watching it and then funk.
I also do like, he's like, oh, we'll get this guy. He's never been defeated. Gets defeated.
Yeah,
He's like,
Mhm.
get him out of that snow.
Like quickly
Yeah.
gets defeated.
Yeah, very quickly.
Super
Again,
quickly.
it's like Batman versus Bane, and it's
Which
like,
makes you not second guess that he could defeat Krampus, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
yeah.
My favorite frame would probably, or panel would probably be the line that we started with
Oh, I was gonna say also this one.
when burning the Baron,
Oh yes.
just all under hellfire.
Mm-hmm.
Is
Which is yours?
earlier in, it's when the revolt starts and at the mine when all the miners are about to die and like they're like the demons coming out and then like Klaus saves him and he says, you know, there's only one person that's working at Yuletime and that's me.
Oh yeah.
And it's just
Yeah.
like a full body of him and it's just like him and his glory. Like you could just imprint like that's Batman.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, it's so
Also, one of the
fucking-
last panels is really good. I think it's on the last page with him kind of pulling at something.
Reigns.
Hold on, I gotta.
I guess
Like
yeah,
he's on
that's
a
what it
sleigh?
is. Yeah, that's the shot.
Yeah, he's on his
And
sleigh.
his wolf pals next to him. It just looks
Is that yours, Tom?
Yeah,
cool.
That's the one.
with the sack.
It's pretty dope.
Oh, also with that earth and
Also with Earth and Sun and slaying into space or whatever he's doing.
Which was
Yeah.
your other one, Ollie? I can find it for the folks at home.
the
It's-
very end,
It's the
last
page
page.
before last and the last page, I guess, if I'm being greedy.
with the earth and the sun
You greedy,
But the
greedy person.
Right
the
there.
page before last, it's him
and that and
at the
one
very
before.
bottom, him pulling at the. So yeah, so go back one page. I just like the look of this at the bottom.
Oh,
It's kind of like the straight.
Oh
line.
yeah,
it's like-
and
like the
he's starting to
streaks.
turn white too.
it's very
Yeah.
minimalistic deco.
Very minimum. Yeah, exactly. That's why I like
I
it.
also love if anyone gets the physical copy, and I don't know if they have them in the digital
all
one
the
too.
alternate covers. and
alternate
whatnot.
covers
Oh,
and
I didn't
stuff.
see those.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
You might like them.
Ooh.
There you go.
So
That brings us to
qualms.
Tom's qualms
Yeah, Tom's qualms.
Carol the Qualms
or gripes
or gripes. Yeah.
Who wants to start
Or-
out?
Or,
Or-
grumps.
or issues.
I can
or
I can
Grinches.
start.
Josh,
I can start.
can I say something?
What?
When we first started this show, you hated qualms. And I still think you hate qualms. But you're always the first to jump on them. So
It's because I'm trying to challenge myself.
I commend you.
The one that really stuck out in my mind was the transition into Olav. It was so sudden. It was like the turn of a page, and now there is this character, this giant of a man that is supposed to bring down Klaus, and I felt like there was no pomp and circumstance.
Oh, so
Like
the
it
guy
was-
that I was laughing about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of unceremoniously.
He was just like,
comes in.
yeah, he unceremoniously came in,
Mhm.
supposed to be such a badass. And then I think it's really cool that Klaus beats him. It would be cooler if there was more of a battle.
Bum, bum, bum.
Yeah, but there wasn't. It was just like, I am Olaf and I am strong.
Bam. And he's taken out.
And then he's taken out. And it's like this last maybe 2 pages. And you're like, for something that they're explaining, like a man who is unbeatable.
I
Yes,
mean,
it's badass that he was beat by Klaus, who's probably a third the guy's size. It was just so unceremonious that I was like, that didn't even feel like danger.
I would say like they kind of do it in one bubble. So it's not so much like pomp and circumstance, but I would say like it could have been cooler if like there was a little bit more banter between the two.
Yeah.
Because it does show a little bit of the difference of like you're a soldier in walls of warmth that took care of you. I was a man in the wilderness with the cold and wolves.
Yeah.
And it's like we are two different strong type of men.
Yeah.
So it's like you can be as strong as you want to be, but I'm still taking you out.
It was just, it was
Mhm.
the lead up into kind of the
I could have made the quick fight
introduction.
funnier. If
Yeah,
it
it
was a
could've.
bigger thing and then just like one hit. he's
Yeah,
out.
in the way.
exactly.
Like, oh,
It was because after the fight, after that happened, the soldiers they're searching for him and they're like, oh, it's okay. Like Olaf is going to get him and all this kind of stuff.
no
He's
one can hide from Olaf.
And
Olaf is me.
He's already been
done.
disposed of.
obviously.
yeah, and you're like, yeah, it proves that Klaus is a badass, but
Hmm.
I wanted you to prove that Olaf was too. And
That could go into my qualm actually, which was I wish it was slower paced.
Mm.
I actually could have
Mhm.
done with more.
Yeah.
Throughout.
Like
agree
a
with that.
12 issue run,
Yeah, like I could
Or
have
even
done. Or even like 12 would have been great.
a full year.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think the pacing, it does a lot and it covers a lot, but I think there could have been a lot of the scenes were very short, and I could have done with 1 or 2 pages for like each scene.
That kind of goes into my qualm a little bit, which is that I felt like there wasn't a ton of development for Klaus. Like I feel like he was like it's supposed to be like the origin story of Santa Claus, but it's more of the origin story of why Santa Claus as opposed to the person.
Yeah.
Like I feel like you don't necessarily like I don't feel like he necessarily goes on a journey. It's more like he's just his first instinct is to make toys for kids. Instead of like him having to like realize
well, the
why
spirits
that's true.
give him that idea.
Right.
Because remember, there's that panel too where he looks at the toys and he's like,
But like
What is
why
this?
he
why
acid
him?
trips
Why
and
is
makes all
he
those
Well,
toys. And
the trip gives it back to him, but he always had an affinity to make toys as a
right,
kid.
yeah.
Yeah.
So they're using his strength
Yeah.
to guide him into what to do. But I could have done more with
I wanted him to get to that point.
that point where he's exiled and finds Lily.
Mhm.
I could have done like with another just even chapter on that
Mhm.
on him
Being alone,
learning
outside.
how to survive in the wild and how he got
Yeah.
the skills he got.
yeah.
Learning how to hunt.
a little
learning how to-
samurai jackish.
Yeah, I think that would have. I mean, because I have the same thing. I said more of becoming Santa either
Yeah.
then, but like even after. Like
Yeah,
I'm gonna read the. Obviously, I didn't know when I wrote this qualm, but
Based on what I can tell, again, this is just like looking at excerpts.
Some would
Yeah.
say it's
It doesn't even really look like it. They go further into that, but
It's
I could
just
be
another
completely
story.
wrong.
right
I'm
well,
because
gonna
we
say
haven't
right.
read them yet.
Yeah.
Because my thing was like alternate fairy tale kind of stuff. I was hoping to find like some grand reason why he's doing it now
Mhm.
for forever, as opposed
Yeah.
to like, oh, he's just a nice guy.
Yeah,
Well,
like
I
after
would
he
s-
defeats Krampus,
I
I would
would-
love to see him set up like the workshop or something.
Right.
Well, Ollie,
something.
Ollie, again,
If there is one.
I think it's like the fact that we're not used to a flat character arc.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, because again, like, and I make it in jest.
Doesn't make it bad. It just-
Paddington. There's no real reason why he's such a good person. There's no
Yeah.
real
He
reason
just
why
is.
Santa is a good person. But
Yeah.
the fact that he's a force, it's like, and that's why I say it's Batman meets Witcher, because it's not Batman.
Yeah.
Because Batman has to learn a reason to become it, but like Klaus is just a good dude.
Yeah.
And so when he sees
Naturally.
injustice,
Yeah.
he has to right it.
But also to dedicate his life to it is the thing that
I mean,
was
I
like,
think that
I
kinda-
wanted a bit more,
I think
That's
that-
more the spirits. Yeah, I'd like to see
suppose.
more of that.
but
then.
also I think it's
but
kind of
inner conflict.
like he later on sees like that because like this town was robbed of their
His home.
happiness.
Mhm.
Like that's what he wanted to do. He wanted to incite joy and happiness into the town. And then he later on said, I need to spread this over the world, right?
Mhm.
And that's what happens after years. And he didn't ever do this until the very end when like the only thing that was grounding him was Dagmar.
Mhm.
So
Only because my qualm is kind of related to both of yours. So this book is called Klaus, How Santa Claus Began. I felt like the Santa Claus part of it was barely there.
Mhm.
You didn't
It was
see him-
almost like an afterthought.
That's what
Like,
that's what I was like.
yeah, that's-
you don't
it's
see him
like,
build
you
like
could take off any reference of Santa Claus. It would still be a good story, I think, but it didn't have anything that made me go, oh yeah, this is a Santa Claus quote origin story, totally off the beaten path than I would ever
Yeah.
think. But it doesn't really. There are a few. It was just not like.
Well, I think for me, yeah, because I get that. I'd like to see more of. For me, it didn't have to follow the same myth we have, because
Mhm.
the way I approached this was show me how the myth got started,
Yeah.
not show me how the myth still continues. So like, my approach to it was like, people heard about this, and then the fucking game of telephone happens, and now he's a big jolly
Right.
fat white guy who has reindeer. When in
Yeah.
reality, it was this one guy
and a wolf.
and wolves,
Mhm.
and he was a wild man, and he killed Krampus, and
Yeah.
he made toys for kids.
Mhm.
But I would like to see more of that, developing of like why toys,
'Cause-
why
Because it's sort of like approaching like it's too on the nose and not on the nose enough at the same time
Mhm.
in a weird way.
Well, it's like trying to be itself versus trying to be one thing or the other.
right.
Yeah.
And I think to me, like in one thing where it's like if I wanted to implant my own, like I want you to be this, it would have been cool to see like an extended story of like he can't do it alone. And so he later on gets people who
The
are
workers.
also in tune with like the Yuletide spirits, who are elves.
Yeah,
Mhm.
And then those people end up like, hey, we need a place to do this. And they
Like-
build a bat cave.
Klaus too.
And then it's a fucking factory. And then they're like, we need a place of operations to do it. Maybe the North Pole. And so it's like, that's
Yeah.
the best place for us to like, and that's kind of like, again, the year one Batman feel, but it's like,
yeah.
I'm to me, I kind of like, I'm not going to put like someone else's stencil on top of you and say
Yeah.
that you're wrong for not fitting into it.
Yeah.
So it's like, for me, like, I think if I had any qualms of it, I would say it's probably breakneck speeds of like vignetted scenes.
Yeah.
Because like I want to see more between
Would you
him
say
and,
the same thing? Like 12 issues, pace it out.
I'd say probably 10. I'd say probably one more issue between him and Dagmar.
Sure.
Like if she goes out and she
Yeah.
actually escaped with Jonas for a second, or like fucking left because Jonas was like getting tortured by his dad for a second, or whatever the fuck he was doing.
Yeah.
And then she's the one that like helped him back with the kid and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, what do we do now? And then then they talk about blah blah. Maybe he loses his way a bit, and it's like, I don't know if I'm doing
I
this.
dig that.
Mhm.
Because you kind of need that challenge a bit. Because I
Right.
would say this, like I understand flat character arcs, so not like
Internal conflict.
not so like intrinsically that like I forgive and all that stuff, but I get Goku. I like, and Goku's like
Yeah.
100% that, but like the problem with them sometimes, and I think it doesn't, I don't think it takes away from a flat character arc, is that he never doubts himself.
Yeah.
He never thinks like I'm doing the wrong thing.
Mhm.
Maybe I'm inspiring madness and chaos, and I'm just hurting them more.
Yeah.
And so like you don't get to see him double down back on it. But like again, that may not be a flat arc.
It would have been, yeah. I think
Yeah.
what would have been cool is maybe if he did doubt himself and then he started to leave, and that's when he heard like Krampus from the town or something like that, or screams,
Yeah.
or maybe he saw embers and he just rushes back, and that's when.
Maybe it shouldn't have been a flat character arc in a story that you're talking about, a lone warrior choosing what he should dedicate the rest of his life to.
I would say like as if we're dissecting it and analyzing it that way, then it can't be about Santa Claus.
Mm.
Because I like the tough thing about Santa Claus is like he is kind of like ideology. Like Batman is supposed to be based on a human. Santa Claus is like he's
But again, we're approaching
like,
we're approaching
much
his
like-
mythos.
Much like the movie The Santa Claus,
Oh.
where you do not have a flat character arc and it's still Santa Claus.
I mean
So
that's
it can be done.
it's a different deconstruction of
Right,
it.
of course.
And this deconstruction is saying like this character who is
Has always been this way.
It's always
forever
been-
good.
yeah.
And it's like, how do you make a forever good person human?
I guess like to your point, I would like to see maybe not doubt in what he's doing, but naivety
Mhm.
could be a really good way
Sure.
of doing that.
Like, hey, you jumped into this. Maybe
Maybe
the
he needs to
wrong
be smarter
way.
about
Like
it.
I don't
Yeah.
know how to do these things,
Right.
or I don't
Yeah.
know how am I
There
supposed
wasn't
to
a lot of danger, like with the
how am
Olaf
I supposed to
thing, and-
deliver all these to the kids? Like, what do I do now?
Yeah.
The spirits, maybe even the spirits can answer it. It can be an easy answer.
Do you know how many splinters I have?
I mean, the question could be where it's like, how do these toys come to be? I just know I have to, give them to the kids because they don't have any. But
Yeah.
it's like I want to learn more about what they are. I worry too much because like I don't want him to have to explain what the spirits are because I think that takes
No.
away a little bit of the mystery of it. Versus him, it's like, what is this thing? And they just speak like, we have found this is your purpose.
right.
Like you have the heart that no man has. Blah blah blah.
You
blah.
are the chosen one.
Hopefully not the chosen one. Chosen one's stories suck. Sorry, Harry Potter.
What
But,
could have helped is maybe setting him up with a bit more information
Yeah.
of like what he's doing and what he has currently dedicated his
I
life
honestly
to.
think that following further after his exile would fill that void for
doing
me.
another flashback probably.
Or just during the make the flashback longer.
I mean, it'd be actually pretty cool to see like a prequel story to this, like
Right.
before he got to the Grimsvog, where
Yeah.
Grimsvig, and like it'd be cool to like see like how he decided to come back.
Because what is he now? He's a pelt merchant that
Mhm.
presumably gets his own pelts.
Yeah.
Yeah, when he fights that terrifying
Yeah.
deer.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
But what is
pretty
he?
dope.
What's his motivation before entering this town? Like what's his
Yeah. and I
What
think
makes
hope in
him
life?
think, like,
what's
why
his
should I
what
go
keeps him
back?
going?
Why should I go visit
Yeah.
Lady Dagmar, baby?
It feels like a random stop for him to warm up and to sell
get
some
my dick
pelts.
wet.
And then
but
and then
it clearly isn't.
the subversion is like I've been here before,
Right.
And so you're like, oh, you've been here.
You've been here before,
Sorry.
so do you have a motive?
Oh.
Like
So
you trying to
what-
get your girl
what- what
back?
brought you back
Like what's
here?
going on? You know?
And so but also he's not aware of what's changed.
Right.
So he's like, why did you decide to come back?
just a few pieces of information.
I would read a second one of these.
Oh, yeah.
I'll
You're gonna
put it that way.
What if like
I would read a Klaus 2 Finding Rudolph.
what if
Rudolph's
that would be
Revenge.
amazing.
What if the prequel is like he's being like trained by like a mystical snowman?
Oh my god.
From like the claymation.
I don't fucking know, but like a mystical snowman's like, and then it's like you have blah blah blah, and he just physically
Breaks into
trains
song.
him.
Let it go.
And then
let it
Before
go.
this, I was a decorated war hero, Nicholas J. Frost, at your service, sir. I don't know why he's British all of a sudden, but
And then like he like because he could have been a meager kid, like some weak kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he was like got strong, buffed
We
out.
get a
and-
montage
and it's
where
like
he's
this is
like,
also my greatest guardian. And then Jack Frost has to die, and so it's like you were released from me, my ward, blah blah. Go back to where you belong. And then he goes,
And he gets his dope new suit and he's like, I'm not wearing hockey pads.
sure.
or he could be.
comes back
Or
for
he
the
could
end.
be wearing hockey pads because it's in the snow.
So you
Yeah.
want to turn your
I'm
head.
definitely wearing hockey pads.
Uh,
Yeah.
so
Any other qualms?
You're tapping me for some, Ollie. I don't know why.
I was in. What do you mean?
Okay. I don't know. Maybe you were playing footsies with me. Are
He's
we
probably
sharing,
playing footsies.
Are we sharing a holiday?
We don't get to
look?
usually sit this close.
Okay.
So it's just different.
Because Caitlin's dealing with family.
She's
No,
dealing
she's
with
not.
family.
She's not. She just peaced out.
But I look, Grant Morrison, Dan Mora, I want a second one of these. I really do.
Corey, create
So
the
in.
Kickstarter
Make it
for
happen.
him.
I'll create the Kickstarter for him
The
because I
hashtag.
think this was like a really unique story, and most of my qualms are just wanting more,
And I
Yes.
I would-
which
yeah,
is a
pretty
huge,
much.
which is like a huge thing.
and I
Yeah,
would
it's a
say
tell.
like there's
Yeah.
not many comic books actually like it.
Right.
So it's kind of wonderful. Like it's a nice.
It reminds me a bit of Fables.
It's really righteous. It's kind of like a gemstone.
Okay, Righteous Gemstones. But it reminds me of the same vibe of Fables. I think that's the reason I like Fables so much. Is it's retconning myths and
Yeah.
like fantasy
Except
stories.
morality means something here,
Right. Yeah.
unlike Fable.
But do you know what I mean? Like it's
Oh
a-
wait, Fable's the comic book, not
Right.
Fables. I was thinking about Fable's the video
No,
game.
Fable's the
Oh.
comic book where
Yeah.
you're kind of grounding
Yeah.
a myth and kind of retconning how it all worked.
Not
And
destroying it,
No.
but just making it something.
making your retcon fit into the mold of whatever
Yeah.
that thing
Also
is.
giving them the third dimension.
Yeah.
Not being like, I love this and I'm tortured.
I don't know. Stories
Uh,
like this just for some reason feel better around the holidays. I don't know what it is.
Yeah. And this was
It's
like
the Yuletide Spirits.
shout out
the
to Grant
Yuletide
Morrison. This was super easy to read.
Yeah.
Like my first sit down in like a half hour, I read half of it. And
Yeah, I
like,
was surprised how
oh my God.
quickly I was going through this.
Yeah.
I was like, oh wow.
yeah. So shout out to them. But like, yeah, the fact that my qualms are all, I don't think I have a single one where I'm like, I wish this didn't happen. It was all just, I want more of it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Expanded sequences.
I want more.
Yes.
I only had one really tiny qualm. There was just a couple
right,
of
Grump,
spots
we get
where the heads were weirdly shaped. That's it.
Yeah.
Was
it
it,
was
was
just
it
a
on some of
weird-
the zoomed out shots or something?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
that
dumb.
happens.
It was just like that's a weird.
I'm sorry, my
shape.
head doesn't meet your criteria.
You
Anyways,
draw a comp. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I don't know. What
Touche.
was the last one we read? The last comic book we read?
I don't know, man.
Yeah, I don't know.
That
man.
one had a couple of those kind of egregious moments of like
Yeah.
they're super
Oh, it's
zoomed
Long
out.
Halloween.
Yeah,
Yeah, how long
Halloween.
Halloween? Super zoomed out on the characters, but they're just
Well,
like
that's Tim
two
Sale,
lines.
man.
Hey,
that's his
it's not
shit.
bad. It's kind of that's actually kind of charming to me.
It's like Alice in Wonderland. Anyways, rating.
Yes.
Rating.
So
Let's get
Rating.
Rating.
So who goes
Rate.
first, Corey? You
get into
you tell
my
us.
little book.
I'm so jealous of that thing.
I like how you went.
Yeah. So
What Josh said is he
first
went all
is
around
either
his mic.
Tom or Corey.
All right, so
I'll
you
go
know-
first.
Okay.
It's a 4.2.
You sure it's a
I
4?
was almost a
Oh.
4.3,
Okay.
but I need more.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a 4.2.
Mine's a 4.5. Solid. I think there's not many writers who write like this. I think a story like this is like in someone else's hands could have been done as well.
I agree with that.
So I think to me, like, I would add this to my book, my collection, and if there's anything kind of like it, I would feel like it stands on the shoulders for sure, much like this stands on anyone else's shoulders.
Yeah.
But like, I would say I've read some comic books around Christmas time and shit like
You
that.
have?
Yeah. And dealing with this subject matter, it's really hard to kind of beat this.
Yeah.
That's true. I'm
So
gonna
let's
stick
hear-
with it though.
I was like, let's hear your 4.5.
I'm gonna stick with it. No, I'm gonna stick with it because I'm also thinking about other comics I've read, just as and putting it up against other comics, not just holiday comics. And there's just
Right.
some
Holiday
that,
comics, baby.
that hit every mark for me, where I was like, that was the perfect amount. So next is Josh.
Like Hush.
It's me.
It's not really comic.
Um, I am going to say a 4.5. Not much that I would change.
Twinsies.
Twinsies.
Okay, well, do you wanna hold hands?
But you said 4.5?
4.5.
Ollie?
Oh, we're not letting go. I
I'm
was gonna
4.3.
Fuck.
Come on, Corey. Fucking, you're going to get a piece of coal shut up your ass.
Hey, look,
That's how that works.
I'm just being honest. This
Wow.
is still on the higher end of comics.
It's a
for
really
me.
good book.
But actually, you think about it, he actually gives toys to bad kids.
I actually
So-
really want this. This hardcover now that
it's
looking
only
at it.
$13 on Amazon.
That's
you
wild.
want to buy it for 50 from me?
But
Wow.
like, so for
Friend
me,
value?
I'm much like Tom. I've read a lot of comics, and I've read a lot of bad comics, but I've also read a lot of very great comics. So for me, this is as unique
Solid.
as it is. 4.2 is very high for me because
Yeah.
there's a lot of comics I rate a lot lower than that.
On our show, though?
We don't
when we
often
cover
pick.
them, sure.
Let it happen.
But yeah, just in my library of comics, there were a lot of great moments. I just needed more of it to make me really go, wow.
Same.
Yeah.
So let's read some Superior Iron Man.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Good.
Oh, well then,
let's
I
not
was like,
do
I
it.
have not.
Okay,
Everybody
that's
went,
not good.
okay.
It's not good.
Oh, never
Superior
mind.
Spider-Man is
It's not
fucking
good.
great, though.
So yeah, that's that.
Wow, we did
Let's
it.
see who on the Nerd On Nation got that right. Let's give them some shout outs here.
Was it me,
But
wasn't
none
it?
for Corey.
That's for me, I thought.
No, there is a vote for Corey.
Okay.
Andy.
Shout
Andy got
out
it
to
right.
Andy.
Shout out to
Shout out.
Andy and
Andy.
Andy,
got it
Nice.
right. Guest Corey.
Our a genius guesser. I'm trying to find some assonance, alliteration with that. Some something.
Yeah,
What are you trying to do?
Like call him like our, the great guesser.
Great guesser.
The great guesser.
Yeah.
Grump guesser.
It's the grump.
The
That
great
doesn't
grump
sound
guesser.
good either.
Oh.
We'll
No.
figure it out. We'll
Yeah,
get there
we'll
The
eventually.
great mouse detective.
Shout out to Disney.
It's a great
Not
movie.
trademark.
Congratulations,
at all.
Andy. You guessed that.
Grump.
Grump. How's
that?
Wait, you're continuing our branding?
Yeah.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Very nice.
Oh.
But anyway,
We should have thinking caps and they call it Guess That Grump. Put your Guess That Grump thinking cap
We do
on.
have, for the rest of the month, we have lots of holiday themed content.
Mm-hmm.
So don't go anywhere. We know you like the holidays secretly, even if you pretend you don't.
Pumpkin spice latte is out now.
Punkay.
It's
the
now
eggnog latte.
Eggnog latte. Oh,
I'm more of a
welcome.
gingerbread latte
now
man
isn't
myself.
it mint latte right now? It's like mint,
Peppermint mocha.
peppermint bark, whatever bullshit.
yeah, you can do that.
Yeah.
Gin-
Not
gingerbread all
sponsored
day.
by Starbucks.
The
at
thing I
all.
like about the gingerbread
Wow.
one is it's not sweet.
Yeah, that's what I do like about it.
I do like
It's not
Snickerdoodle
overly
one.
sweet. A lot of those get me my tummy
Yeah.
sick.
All right, what the hell are we doing?
We can keep talking about
You can go nerdon.io
Starbucks drinks.
/Starbucks.
Just not
Don't
really
go
try
there.
it.
Hashtag doesn't exist.
Hashtag we're gonna do a mukbang soon.
Hashtag yet.
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 I would love to be a Starbucks affiliate. I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
Just listen to Nora Jones all day.
Everybody at home, thank you so much for listening. We do appreciate you. If you have read this, let us know your thoughts. If you have not read this, read it. And you can
By
go
going to nerdon.io /comicsology.
He's got to
Wow.
do it. We're doing it.
That's not how it works.
So,
There you
Tom's
go.
never played a triangle before.
you've never heard it here before. Anyway, we do appreciate all of our
I
listeners.
want Christmas bells instead.
We, yes, really do appreciate you. Share us with your friends, your family. If you are new to Nerd On, check out our website, nerdon.tv. And yeah, stop by, rate and review us wherever you listen to us. Apple Podcasts, Google.
Don't kill it.
Don't kill it. But yeah,
That's enough.
that is enough. Thank you so much. You know the drill. As always,
Nerd on.
Ending broadcast.